Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about the curriculum and the courses you have to take if you're studying acting here in Korea, because so many people are curious, what do you actually learn in acting school? And that's why I thought I make this short video talking about the curriculum and the courses you have to take if you're studying acting as a master at the Korea National University of Arts, shortly K-Arts. So actually the curriculum as a PDF file, you can find it on the homepage. I will leave a link in the description, but I thought it would make it a little bit more interesting if I share some of my personal experience with you, so let's take a look. On the homepage you can actually find both the English version and the Korean version, but I find that the English version is very simplified and you don't really see how many credits you get for each of the courses. So in this video I will take the Korean version and explain each class. First of all, the major requirements. Chonpil, as for pilsu, which means required, and then there are classes called the major electives, Chonson, as for 선택, meaning something to choose. So as you can see, the Master of Acting is a 3-year course, and here you can find just a guidance of how to take the courses. You don't have to follow it necessarily. In my case also, I went to school for 2 years and then took some semester off and came back to school, so the order changed and it got a little bit longer. That doesn't really matter, but I think for the first 2 years this recommendation is good to follow. The content, so what you learn in these classes, highly depend on the professor you have. In my case, in my first year of acting classes, I had a professor who studied in Russia, and this was really into the Stanislavski acting system. And that's why in my first year I just learned everything about Stanislavski's method of acting. But if you have maybe another professor who likes another field, another type of acting, then you can learn acting in a very different way. And we have actually many different professors who study it in other countries, so England, France, Russia, Spain, America, and they all have their special field. So if you have like acting classes for 4 semesters, it's really good if you have like different professors so you can learn even more. Movement class as well really depends on the professor. So in my first semester I learned mime from a professor who graduated from a very famous school in Paris in France, and then for 3 semesters I learned the Korean dance, which I really liked because we are in a Korean acting school, so it was really nice to learn something traditional Korean. And this class was also necessary for all the students. Even if you don't take it for movement class, you have to learn the Korean traditional dance. But movement class can also be something like salsa or modern dance or anything that has to do with moving. For an actor and actress, the voice is very important, and that's why in acting school you have 2 years of classes just focusing on breath and vocalization. And this class you have 2 times a week. In my case, I started learning the Alexander technique, which is not necessarily a voice technique, but it's more about getting a healthy lifestyle, make you feel better, to make you feel free and relaxed. But a lot of actors are using that technique, like Benedict Cumberbatch or Alan Rickman and so many other actors. And in that class you also learned how to pronounce, so that was a very big help for me because I'm not a native Korean speaker. But in that class I learned how to pronounce the vowels and the consonants right, and that was a great help actually for acting in Korean, but also for the other Korean students. As an acting student, you also have to take some theoretical classes like the seminar on acting. Here you can learn about different acting techniques like Meissner, Stella Adler, the method acting or something else. And you also have to take classes about writing, because if you want to finish your master and you want to graduate, you have to write a thesis, which is not that easy, but you have 2 semesters of classes on academic writing, and those classes are also mandatory. In order to graduate from acting school, you do not only have to write a thesis, but you have to participate in 2 big performances at school. One of them is a repertoire. In Korean we say repertory, repertory 공연, a repertoire theater performance which is directed by one of the professors at school, and then one studio performance which is directed by one of the students of the theater department. If you want to participate in one of the performances, you actually have to audition, and the auditions are usually held during the vacation, and then during the semester, like in the evenings, you will practice, and then in the end of the semester the performance will take part and all the students can come and watch you. And everybody recommends you to usually do this performance after the 2nd year, because until then you have so many classes and other practices, so you would be too busy to participate in the big performance practices. And I also participated in 2 plays at school, and actually can find one of the plays, which is called Nu or Uri in Korean, on YouTube, so I will leave a link. If you're curious, just check it out and see if you can find me. For the major electives, it doesn't mean that you can choose to do them, but you have a bigger choice of deciding what kind of subject you want to take. Every year they offer different kind of classes, and then you can just apply for one of them. Maybe there is improvisation for theater, tango, salsa, pilates, or acting for the camera, or different acting techniques like laban, or some kind of movement. But not only practical classes, there are also theory classes like the history of theater, like theater philosophy or playwriting. So as you can see, there's so many different kind of classes you can choose, and that makes studying fun and very intensive. If you follow that schedule, you can finish your studies within 3 years. However, that's almost impossible because writing a thesis takes a lot of time if you're doing some theater performances. And as you can see, there's so many interesting classes you can take. So for most students, they take around 4 or 5 years to finish school. Also, writing a thesis can take a long time. I will definitely make another video about that. There are not only a lot of classes, but after class you also have to usually practice with your partner for some scene acting, and also there are a lot of homeworks, so you have to write some reports for each of the classes. So you are really busy during the first 2 semesters. In my case, I always started going to school at 9 o'clock in the morning. Every second Monday we had to go there at 8 a.m. because we had to clean the practice room as a first semester, and then you're almost all the time at school until 6, and when class finished you maybe eat something for dinner and then you have to practice again. So in my first and second year I almost went out of school at around 12 p.m. And as you can see, it is a very busy schedule, but also very fulfilling. K-Arts is actually very strict about activities outside of school. So during the first 2 years of acting school, you are not allowed to do any outside activities, which means not filming anything, so no movie, no drama, no commercial, not even a tourist video. And also a theater play is not allowed to do outside of school. And the reason why K-Arts is quite strict is because they have a kind of good reputation for their acting students, but they do not want the students to be at school and then go outside and just act without having learned something at school. And that's why the professors want to make sure, okay, they really learned something at K-Arts, and then they want to send them out to go and act. However, after 1 year of attending school, you are allowed with permission to do some acting at school. So we have a film department right next to the theater department, and there the students also have to do some projects, and in those projects you are allowed to participate. So there's actually a lookbook for the acting department. The film students can come and see, oh, in our school we have those kind of actors and actresses, and they can contact them and say, I want to cast you in my film project. And this lookbook has some profile pictures of the students. And what I find really nice, the school offers one time a year a free photo shooting for profile pictures, so you always have some updated profile pictures. In school, actually, there's so many activities that you don't even have to think about doing something outside. And not only for acting, but also for the atmosphere, something really typical Korean, a membership training, shortly MT. So usually in the first years of university, you will go to so many membership trainings. I still remember in my first year, we went to 5 different membership trainings, and then you can just spend a 2-day, 1-night trip to some other place, and you will play games and eat something delicious. And this is just to make sure that the group atmosphere is really good. And in the later semesters, if you also participate in one of the theater performances, you usually will go to a membership training with your theater group. And then there are also classes during the vacation. So after the first semester, you usually have to participate in a Pumul Tekgang, which is a special class on the instruments for the Korean traditional percussion music. And this class is for 2 weeks, and every day you can learn something about another instrument. And after 2 weeks, you will have a big performance where you can also invite your family or your friends. And in my case, my professor is specialized on the Stanislavski system, where observation is really important. And that is why in the first year during the vacation, we did a 3-week Tekgang, which is a special course about observing, and we did objects, singer, animals and people. So during 3 weeks we had to go to different places, for example a zoo or market, and then observe people or things or animals, and then we had to show that in class. And that was a really fun class and helped a lot, especially for theater acting. Honestly, for the first 2 years it can be kind of difficult, because as you can see, an acting student is very busy. However, many students after the first year, they try to get a job at the university. There is a TA, which is a teaching assistant job. You can help at the school office and get a kind of scholarship. However, as a foreign student, we are here under the D2 visa, the student visa. We are not allowed to have any part-time job. So if you decide to make any part-time job to make some money outside of school, make sure to talk to the immigration office and get a permission. I really hope this video could help you to get an overview about the curriculum and the classes at K-Arts as an acting student. If you have any more questions about the curriculum, the classes, about K-Arts, about anything else, just feel free to leave a comment, and see you next time. Bye!